We're here with Hans Blokpoel, the General Director of the Dutch Tax Administration, to talk about the project TAFEIC, which means Tools Against Financial and Economic Internet Crime. Hans, welcome.
Thanks.
This project is sponsored by the European Commission, but the Dutch Tax Office also invests a large amount of resources in this project. You, as General Director, put your signature on the contract. Yeah. Why is this project important for you?
Yeah, I think the digital environment in our modern society gets becoming more and more important. You have the physical worlds, shops, companies, but also the digital world where people trade, share information, and as a tax office you should be out there. The digital environment is something where trades are being made, taxes have to be levied, and we should be out there.
So besides gathering taxes, you also feel sort of societal responsibility for governing the internet.
I think as a governmental body we should react to the changes in society and the digital environment within our countries, but also across boundaries is getting more and more important.
And that's why we do this internationally.
Yeah, of course. The companies within Europe operate more and more internationally within Europe and even across different continents. Companies that comply with our laws, but also the companies that don't comply with our laws operate internationally. So if we do investigate, we should be out there across our boundaries.
Yes. This project will be carried out by the tax offices of the Netherlands, Belgium and Sweden. In the Netherlands also the Dutch coordinator for counter-terrorism and security, and also Sentient and Parabots. Why this combination of partners in this project?
In the Netherlands we believe in cooperation between partners who have something to bring, but also like to invest money and energy in a certain development. And it should have something about a coalition of the willing. Parties who want to operate, and it shouldn't always be 20 or 30 parties together because it gets very difficult to get your governance in place. So small enough to be agile and large enough to have a lot of support and resources available. So these are the partners that are there at this moment that will probably grow during the development of TAFEIC.
Right, because those are the partners who carry out the project, but it also builds on an existing community, which we can call the Xenon community. Could you say something about that?
Yeah, I think in the Netherlands we have the organization we call the Internet Service Center, which is one of the traditional places where within Dutch tax the whole traffic on the internet is being watched. We're looking for taxpayers that don't have the characteristics we would like them to have. And if you have these new developments, you try to build on top of experience you have gained in the past. So the whole Xenon community was started on different parts in organizations across different countries. And if you have such a development like TAFEIC, you want to build on top of that experience. So I'm very glad that we can take the next step.
Okay. So other partners might be added too in the future?
Oh, certainly. Yes. Yeah, and at the same time, if you don't have the energy of the resources at this moment to participate, it doesn't mean you can't take part in a year's time or in 2 years' time. So it should be a little bit fluid. In the Netherlands we have quite a lot of experiences with these kind of programs, and if you have some room for people to start to participate at a time that's just for them, it's much easier to govern.
How do you perceive the current level of international collaboration and how could it be improved?
I think if we look at starting with Europe, we see that legitimate businesses all trade across country borders. It's not just the big companies that trade internationally, but also small and medium-sized enterprises are trading much and much more across our boundaries. That means that also in the less desirable way to trade, tax evasion or even criminal activities, boundaries are not something that the criminal is hindered by. It helps him even because there are different organizations across those different parts of Europe. So if you want to have a good understanding about what's going on in that digital environment, you should be able to have an overall view of starting Europe, but maybe even more widely, worldwide. So if you have different tools, different methods, it's very difficult to share information when the criminal environment is trading internationally. So I deeply feel that we should have common practices, common tools, be able to share knowledge across our country boundaries to be able to react on international criminal behavior.
Could say international criminals have a head start on the internet, and we need to catch up with
they use those boundaries. So we should react by making the sharing of knowledge and information about criminal behavior easier.
But also within each country, collaboration might be difficult. The project envisions that the tax officers and the police investigation collaborate. I can imagine that each country has a specific context. Could you say something about the Dutch context combined with, in comparison with other countries?
In the Netherlands, we strongly feel about sharing information and even having combined operations between tax and other governmental bodies like police, but also people who investigate the quality of food and quite a lot of other services. So we are more and more regularly operating together with other parties. Then you get the same boundary discussion. You have this law to look into, you have these norms or this quality of food that you're interested in. And if you are able to share information also on a national scale between different agencies, you get a much better view on what's the best approach to a certain behavior.
So the Dutch are a bit a champion in collaboration compared to others?
I try to be not that enthusiastic about the Dutch situation because this kind of operation is also available in many other countries. But we Dutch have one advantage. We're a very small country, so we need to operate very good within our boundaries because we're just a small country.
During the target group meeting, participants will also talk about specific projects within 5 broadly defined themes, such as fake medicine, counterfeiting, money laundering, of course, basic primary frauds such as fake payments, and identity fraud. Which of these themes appeal most to you, and perhaps you would like to add some to it?
I think it's very good if you have a development like TAFEIC to focus on a smaller group of projects. At the same time, it's difficult to say what will be the future use of TAFEIC. It should be able to be used for a wide range of investigations. So I think it's good to focus, and at the same time the whole capability should be very broad. If you look at these first thoughts, I think identity fraud is one of the things that is really scary for people when they're a victim of that. So of course money laundering and fake medicines are very important things, but from a personal perspective, I think identity theft, identity fraud are really big problems in our modern society.
Investigation methods, tools, and especially the content is sensitive material. How do you strike the balance between sharing this knowledge openly and preventing it from falling into the wrong hands?
In the well-organized modern crime organization, there are always attempts to gain access to information within police organizations or tax organizations or any investigating body. So I think cooperation between governmental bodies is necessary. At the same time, we're permanently at risk of counter-surveillance from the people we are investigating. So we should be very aware of these risks, and at the same time you can't be totally closed off from your environment. So we will have to trade off risks between counterintelligence and the sharing of information. Yeah. There's not an easy solution. We should be aware of this. I'm looking forward to capabilities that will be built in the TAFEIC to closely guard our information and at the same time make collaboration possible.
Because the proposal also mentions that a new ICT infrastructure will be built to facilitate the data exchange between the Dutch, Swedish and Belgian partners. Is that necessary, or already have tools?
Yeah, I don't see it as building a new infrastructure, more as using capabilities that are already in place and using things that in the Xenon environment and other environments are already there. Okay. So I wouldn't call it a totally new ICT infrastructure, but more the opening up of capabilities that are there.
This also builds on the Xenon community?
Yep.
Okay. Yep. Finally, this video will be shown at the TAFEIC target group meeting. Any last words for the participants?
Yeah, I hope you all have a great day, and I'm looking forward to the capabilities that you and your colleagues will develop in the coming years. I think you are doing a great job, and I wish everybody all the best of luck.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
You feel sort of societal responsibility for government?
Yeah. I think as a governmental body we should react to the changes in society and the digital environment within our countries, but also across boundaries is getting more and more important.
And that's why we do this internationally.
Yeah, of course. But also the digital world where people trade, share information, and as a tax office you should be out there. The digital environment is something where trades are being made, taxes have to be levied, and we should be out there.
So besides gathering taxes, you also feel the amount of resources in this project. You, as General Director, put your signature on the contract. Yeah. Why is this project important for you?
Yeah, I think the digital environment in our modern society becoming more and more important. You have the physical worlds, shops, companies.
We're here with Hans Blokpoel, the General Director of the Dutch Tax Administration, to talk about the project TAFEIC, which means Tools Against Financial and Economic Internet Crime. Hans, welcome.
Thanks.
This project is sponsored by the European Commission, but the Dutch Tax Office also invests a large...
the companies within Europe operate more and more internationally within Europe and even across different continents. Companies that comply with